welcome to edgeofcode.com series of Infinite Roller tutorials. You can find a written tutorial at edgeofcode.com. In the previous tutorial we learned how to create sound effects using Audacity, and today we're going to add the background music and the sound effects that we made to the Infinite Roller game. So first open your Infinite Roller project and the scene, then click on the main camera game object in the hierarchy. The inspector here shows an audio listener component. The audio listener is like the game's ears. It's where it listens to the audio in the game from. It's attached to the camera because that's where the player's view is, and so that's where they expect to be able to hear from. Sounds themselves can be 2D or 3D. A 2D sound can be heard equally wherever the listener is in the scene. A 3D sound is slightly different, so the 3D will be in a specific position and the audio emanates out from that point. As the audio listener moves, the volume of the sound will change depending on where the camera is in the game. So to add a sound, we need an audio source component. So first we'll add the background music that we downloaded in the previous tutorial. And I chose this one, and you can play your sounds in Unity by clicking on the sound, and then over here there's a play button. Okay, so create a new game object. So let's right click and create empty and rename it background audio, or background music perhaps, and then add a component to this, and we want to go to audio and audio source, and then drag and drop the music file into audio clip. Play on awake should already be ticked, and this means that the clip will play when the player starts the game, and that's what we want for the background music. We also want it to loop so that once it's finished playing, it plays it again. And because it's the background music, we want to make the priority as high as possible. So drag the priority to 0 or type 0 in this little box. The priority tells Unity that it's important, the sound is important, and shouldn't be interrupted by other sounds. The background music should be heard everywhere equally, so we also want to make sure that it's a 2D sound, and that's changed by spatial blend. It's already at 2D, so that's fine, we don't need to change that. Okay, so let's test that. So press play, and hopefully the music will just play. Yay. And it will carry on as we play the game. Cool. Next we're going to add the sound that we recorded of the character landing. So select the character game object and add another audio source. And this time drag the landing sound clip to audio clip. So for the landing sound we should deselect play on awake because we only want it to play when the character lands. And this should also be a 2D sound because the camera follows the character, so it won't make any difference if we change it to 3D. Okay, so next go to your scripts folder and open the rolling character controller script and create a new private variable to represent the audio source. So private audio source, and I'm going to just call it source. In awake we're going to use get component because the audio source is a component of the character which this script is attached to, or is a component of. So we just want to get this component. Let's do source equals get component and audio source. For now I'm going to add a line in on collision enter 2D so that it plays the landing sound whenever it hits the terrain. So source.play. So you can see there's lots of different play options, Usually you'll either want to play or play one shot. Play one shot means you can play multiple sounds that kind of overlap. So if you have a shooting sound, you'll want to be able to play the sound perhaps before the previous one is finished, if you're shooting quickly. For this, I'm just going to use play. So if we save that script, we can see what that sounds like. We're going to press play in Unity. And you can see that it's playing the sound a lot because obviously we're rolling it along the ground, so every time it hits the ground it plays that sound because we've done it in OnCollision Enter 2D. So that's not really what we want. One possibility now is to only play the sound when the character lands after we've jumped. Another is to set a time limit that the character needs to be off the ground for before the sound plays. Really though, we want a combination of these so that the sound plays when the character lands after a jump, and also when it either bounces quite high or when it rolls off a section and lands on the next one without jumping. So back in the script, let's start by making the sound play when the character lands after jumping. So to do that is quite simple. We just need to put an if statement around this to check that we've jumped before playing the sound. So that's just if num jumps is more than 0, then play the sound. So this is if we've collided with the ground and if we have jumped, then play. So save that and let's see what that's like. So you can see when it sort of bounces, it's a bit weird that it doesn't play a sound, whereas if I actually press jump, when it lands then it does. So let's go back and fix that. So to do this, we want to record the last time that it landed. So create another new private variable. This is going to be private float. Call it last landed time, and we'll record the last time it's landed. So I'm going to initialize this in awake. I'm just going to set it to the current time, which is time.time. And remember, this is the time since the beginning of the game, so actually this will be 0 pretty much because we're calling it in awake. And now inside OnCollision Enter 2D, as well as playing the sound when a character has jumped, we want to play it when the time between now and last current time is more than some limit. So actually first let's create the limit. Be private const, because it's not one that we're going to change while we're playing the game, and be a float and landed time limit. I'm going to give it a value of 0.8 to start with. I'll just give it a comment as well. Okay. So yeah, we might need to tweak that value later on. So inside OnCollision Enter 2D, we now want to add a bit more code. So first, create a local variable to record what time it is now. So this is time now, and it's a float called current time, and that's again time.time. So this is set each time the object hits the ground, and then let's put a comment above this. So only play the landing sound when have jumped, or when long enough time between this and last time landed past. So that's num jumps more than 0, and then or, which is 2 of these straight line characters, and then it's going to be current time minus last landed time more than landed time limit. Once we have landed, we're going to want to reset the time. So because we've hit the ground, we know that we've landed. We've reset num jumps to 0 because we'll be able to jump twice again, and we want to reset last landed time to be time.time again, so that the next time we land on the ground, we compare this correctly again. So just to go through this once more, if the character collides with the ground, then we set the current time, and then if the character has jumped, or if the difference between the current and last time that the character hit the ground is more than this limit, we play the landing sound. Num jumps is then reset to 0, and last landed time is reset to the current time. Okay, so save this and we'll see if that worked. Okay, so it's playing the land sound when it jumps. And I haven't pressed jump yet, so that hit. It played the sound when it hit the ground. And again. Okay, that seems to be working properly. I think 0.8 is a good value for this limit. Okay, so now save the scene and the project. So yeah, today we have learnt about audio in Unity. We've added both background music and a sound effect to our game. In the next tutorial, we'll start looking at how to use larger blocks rather than small squares to generate the terrain. So this will be a different sort of random terrain. Remember, you can download the files for this tutorial at edgeofcode.com on the downloads page, and I'll see you next time.